One of the darkest days in European history is upon us. This is the Second World War. The continent is literally, and the world is at the brink of war, of a total world war. We have to wait and see, and we can only hope that it does not come to that, and that many young people will not, a generation will be sent to their graves, not necessarily. And I just want to say, first of all, that in the actions of the Russian Federation in invading Ukraine and attacking the Ukrainian capital and attacking other cities with missiles and intercontinental ballistic missiles is unforgivable, it's unnecessary, and it's unjustified. There's no justification for attacking Ukraine, for attacking anything in Ukraine, for attacking any Ukrainian citizens. There's no justification for them being there. And from the very start, I'm sure we will all know, we all can see it now. From the very start, Putin's intentions and the Russians' intentions was to invade when they were talking to the United Nations, when they were talking. It was all just a big farce. They had it decided way in advance. And the lies and the propaganda coming out of Russia about different things is beyond comprehensible. And it's beyond comprehensible that we're living in 2022 and two countries in Europe are at war and people are dying, which could lead to a third world war. Have we learned nothing? And this is the thing, have we learned nothing from our past, from two world wars? But many young people being sent to their graves, senselessly, over nothing. Over nothing being sent to their graves. Hundreds of millions of people being sent to their graves, early graves. Dying, being killed, and all that life and all that suffering. And this is going to lead to worldwide consequences. And now, obviously, Ireland should have a neutral policy. We'll talk about that later on. But obviously, and I say this straight, Ireland should never get involved. It's not Ireland's fight. It's not anything to do with Ireland. Ireland obviously should condemn its unprovoked attack on an independent sovereign nation, Ukraine. Obviously, Ireland should have a voice and say it's unprovoked. It shouldn't be allowed that the attack happened. That the Russians are killing Ukrainian soldiers and killing probably civilians. We simply cannot sit in the sidelines and say nothing. But at the same time, we are bound by our neutrality to our people and to our country, to keep our people safe, to keep our nation safe, by doing limited as possible intervention at any point, but using our voice to speak against any aggression or any atrocities. And obviously I'll talk about that later on. Leo Farkas said something in the Dáil about Irish neutrality, what to talk about, because it does seem that there will be a chain reaction. I don't want to fear and I don't want to make conspiracy theories, but it looks very likely if they take Ukraine, they will take the Baltic states, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, the Baltic states, and they would push forward. And I do think it would, and especially when the sanctions are issued to the Russian Federation, retaliation could happen. And obviously too, I want to just briefly touch on the price of living in the majority of the world, actually all across the world, will skyrocket. In terms of food, as we know, Ukraine has a lot of wheat. It's very agricultural, and obviously the demand and the lack of supply coming from Ukraine, and Ukraine has 23% of the world's wheat, along with Russia too. So it will affect the price of different things in shops, food, drink, things like that. It will affect oil, of course, and petrol and diesel, heating, and the majority of heating and gas, natural gas, comes from Russia. This, and I have to say, and I think Ireland's states on this. It's just hard to comprehend, but I say, as a republic, as a solemn independent state, as the Republic of Ireland, I think our leaders in our country should obviously try and bring both parties to peaceful negotiations. Thank you.